Hi everyone, so I wanted to share with you my top 3 favorite books that I read in 2020. I, interestingly enough, read these all during the same readathon during the same week, so I had a really good reading week. And they were some amazing books. 2 I would probably put on my top favorite books of all times list. So even though I only read 17 books this year, I had some pretty good reads. So on to my third favorite book. The first 2 I don't have physically because I've lent them out for people to read. But the first one is going to be The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is a semi-closed circle mystery that is set on an island off the coast of Ireland right before a wedding. So it's the lead up to the wedding ceremony. And you start off with a scene of a potentially dead body on a coast, right? And then you work backwards to figure out the mystery. And there's a ton of characters. Each one has their own compelling story. You start to wonder who has motive to hurt some of the people at the wedding. And it was just fantastic. If you liked Agatha Christie's and Then There Were None, I do think you would enjoy this. I found it to be very thrilling. My only thing about this that didn't make it would have been a 5-star if it wasn't for the ending. I wish the ending was different, but I did enjoy the twists and turns throughout. I did not predict the ending. It was surprising to me, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope Lucy Foley comes out with a book next year, and if so, I'm definitely going to read it. I say next year isn't this year, right? Because we're in 2021. My second favorite book is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. This book, at the beginning, there's an incident of a lady who is a young woman who is babysitting a child of an affluent family and from an affluent family in a very affluent area. The child itself is white, and the babysitter is black, and she is accused of kidnapping this toddler, when in fact she was in an emergency situation to get the child out of the house from the parents. This is all caught on film, and it follows her emotions and other people who are aware that this incident was filmed on whether or not the film should be released, her relationship with the little girl, that was my favorite part of the story, was their relationship and the characters interacting and how our own life circumstances and our own experiences shape what we feel like to be what's best, when it might not always be what's in the best interest of the person involved. And I just love this. And I really think people should read this book. I feel like I'm a better person because I read the book. And if you read it for nothing else, read it for the relationship between the Amira, who's the main character, and I forget the little girl's name, but she is adorable. I love the 2 of them together. Then that brings me to my favorite book of the year, which is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. He, I guess, is quite a prolific author, and up until this year, I'd never read anything by him. And I really want to pick up more TJ Klune. This book was phenomenal. I loved this book. It made me cry. It made me laugh. I loved all of the characters. This book is an adult fantasy, but it reads quite like middle grade or YA fantasy. It follows a man whose job is to inspect orphanages of kids with magical or other peculiar abilities who are orphaned. And he comes across an orphanage that has some of the strangest collection of children. And he has to deem whether this orphanage is being run safely, his recommendation on whether or not to shut it down. There's a kid at this orphanage named Lucy, who may or may not be the son of the devil. And Lucy or Chauncey were my two favorite children in the entire book. But I loved all of the characters. It's a very heartwarming story. It takes a look into otherness and how we treat others who are othered by society. And it was just such a heartwarming, heartbreaking, joyful story to read. And it was wonderful. I loved it. I highly recommend it. I flew through it. And it is definitely one that I will reread in 2021. It's great. I don't know what to say other than gushing about how amazing this book was. So I would like to know, what was your favorite book of the year, or a book you read this year that you feel like everyone else needs to read but you hear nobody else talking about? And I will see y'all later. Bye, y'all.